I'm Molly Kimball. Welcome to Fueled, a wellness and nutrition podcast. I'm a registered dietitian and nutrition journalist with a passion to help people live their strongest, healthiest life possible. In my weekly TV segments and columns, there's a limited amount of time and space to cover everything, but there's so much more to share. This podcast is my opportunity to dive deeper into the topics you want to know about. This week's episode is about aromatherapy, the science of essential oils. And people have been turning to the power of plants for medicinal purposes, for healing purposes, for thousands and thousands of years. But essential oils are more popular now than ever, especially here in the United States, more than ever before, with so many people seeking a complementary approach, a holistic strategy to help improve their physical and or emotional well-being. Science is lagging way behind, though. There are some studies. Most of the studies done so far in people have been on managing pain, anxiety, or helping with sleep. And while there's no evidence-backed research that shows that any illness can be, quote, cured with essential oils, the results on the potential benefits of oils as tools to help relieve stress, improve sleep, or buffer our perception of pain, these studies, they're promising. And little by little, the use of essential oils is becoming more and more widely accepted in mainstream medicine. I'll say it's still just the tip of the iceberg, but hospitals are starting to employ certified aromatherapists. And just today, for example, I was talking with a friend and she was telling me she deals with irritable bowel. And she was saying that her GI doctor, her gastroenterologist, a traditional mainstream Western doctor, suggested that she take peppermint oil in the form of enterically coated high dose peppermint oil to help with symptoms. And she's actually, for the first time in years, felt significant relief. So in today's episode of Fueled Wellness and Nutrition, I am joined by Margaret Haferman, a certified clinical aromatherapy practitioner. She shares her insight on the overarching world of what aromatherapy is, including the history of it, the origin of modern day aromatherapy. We'll talk about what's actually in those essential oils and why they're referred to as essential. We explore the science behind essential oils, including which oils are shown to be good for what conditions. We'll also talk about what to look for to know that you have quality essential oils, how to use them, and she'll address safety concerns. Margaret Haferman is the Director of Patient Experience and Innovation with Ochsner Health. Margaret is actually an athletic trainer with more than 25 years experience treating athletes and injured workers. She's a certified clinical aromatherapy practitioner. She's been certified for more than 10 years. And she first became interested in aromatherapy as part of her journey to incorporate more holistic approaches into patient care with the ultimate goal of enhancing patient experience, helping to make it a more effective, more healing experience. So with that, welcome, Margaret. I am so happy for you to be here with us today. I know a little bit about this topic. I've read up on it in preparation for our interview, but I'm looking forward to learning a lot more from you.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be part of this. This is awesome.
I thought that you would be a really good fit because in your normal role, you're very linear in your focus. You're very pragmatic. You're very practical. And you kind of see, okay, here's the end goal of what we want to achieve. What are our steps to get there? And to be able to take that same very logical flow and help to shed some light on the essential oil world, which is kind of all over the place. And it doesn't have that logical organization. There's a lot around it.
It doesn't, which is kind of funny because if you think about it, oils, it's like chemistry, which is very linear. You apply your formulas. So it's funny how the environment and all of the different methods of getting your oils, it's all over the place. It's kind of anything goes.
It is anything goes. So before we get into that, tell us kind of about your journey and how you ended up here in New Orleans and kind of your experience, what you do, and also the experience and what kind of got you interested in the aromatherapy essential oils work.
Sure. So I am an athletic trainer by background. So if people don't know what that is, we're the people who run out onto the football field when somebody gets hurt. And we take care of all those injuries and also work side by side with our other healthcare professionals to rehab those patients or the athletes to get them back to work. And that's kind of how I started my essential oil journey several years ago, probably. I want to say 20, but I started when I was 15 for everybody listening. Just as different ways to have natural healing for the body. Like that was one thing I was on a journey of what can we use in nature instead of all these chemicals? We have so many chemicals that we're surrounded by. What other things can we use? And it started with things like arnica gel or any of the other oils. So I got very interested in that. And the organization I worked for was becoming part of what's called Plain Tree, which is really patient focused and trying to have that holistic environment and just a holistic offering for the patients, whether it's guided meditation if they're in surgery or aromatherapy if they're in the hospital or acupuncture. So I got involved with the integrative medicine group for that. And we kind of took off with aromatherapy and that kind of sparked the interest. And from there, I went to get my certification. So I am a certified clinical aromatherapy practitioner. That's kind of a mouthful, but basically it's looking at kind of the healthcare applications of aromatherapy, not so much the mixing up the fun scents, which you still can do. And you get trained in like, here's the high notes and the middle notes and the low notes, but it's more, how can we use these natural medicines to help heal the body and enhance patients' well-being?
And we should say, you don't sell. This is not something, and let's talk about that for a minute, because I think right now on Netflix, there's a documentary or docuseries called Unwell. And one of them was about essential oils. And wow, it did not put it in a good light.
No. And it almost seemed like a cult.
It sure
I thank
does.
you for that recommendation, by the way, for watching that. That series is amazing. When you think of all of the venues that people will say, oh yeah, it's going to get you better. And there's no science behind it. I think some of the companies, it's kind of buyer beware. You have to really research. There are some good companies out there, but there are also some that are just trying to make a buck.
And we'll be talking about, well, what is aromatherapy? What are essential oils? What's the science behind them? Which oils do what? What's good for what? And then we'll also be talking about safety issues and how to use them safely, but also how to select those oils that are going to be quality, true oils. But let's call out the names for a second, because the two that I think most people are familiar with, doTERRA and Young Living. And what I find is they're multi-level companies, and it seems as if they each may have some products that are good, but it's people might perceive as being high pressure sales from their friend or their neighbor or their relative.
Yes, absolutely. And I like some products from each of those companies, like Young Living's Thieves Spray, one of my favorite cleaning products. But some of the ways that they want you to apply the oils are not things that in my training, I'm like, no, I'm not comfortable with that. So I think for anybody, it's really researching, what are you looking for in your life? Is this product going to meet it? Is it a good quality product? And as you said, we'll talk about that, as you have to find good quality oils. Just buying it, if it's cheap, it's probably not a good oil. That's a good rule of thumb for you. And same thing with doTERRA. They have a lot of great blends, and I know they have their, it's certified pure therapeutic grade oil. However, the caveat with that is they created that certification. So somebody might look at that and say, look, they're certified. It's great.
By us.
But we did it ourselves.
Right.
So that's like me saying, I am the best ever. Well, nobody else can validate
right,
that.
Says you. Yeah.
Exactly.
And we should say too, the docuseries Unwell, when we say they portray the essential oils in a negative light, when I told my husband that this was the podcast that we're recording, he's like, oh gosh, and I use some essential oils, and he's now kind of, after seeing that, he's like, it really casts a lot of doubt, because there's a lot of really big claims that are made and people really hang their hopes on it. The oils are going to help with my cancer. They're going to help with my child's autism. And there's things that are really big claims that don't have the basis for that. So that was number one. That was kind of a real big knock on it. And I agree with that. The other was that the way that the companies are lined up, I can't remember which of them. I think it was Young Living. the way it is, you have to buy a certain amount of oils every month as a sales rep for them. And basically that feeds up to the higher levels. I think they call them diamond something levels. It wasn't like diamond tiara, but it sounded something like that. And the people at the top, basically, if you're a young living salesperson, you have to buy $100 of products. Well, if you're not selling $100 of product, that means you're out $1,200 a year, or you got a whole bunch of oils accumulating. And so people who get into it thinking they're going to make all this money, yet that ends up costing them more. And I think that was a lot of what the docuseries was about. I don't think it spent as much on what the real benefits could be.
I would agree. Yeah. And I think, like you said, so many people are pinning all their hopes on an oil, and oils really are a modality. It's just another way of trying to heal the body. It's not the end all be all. I love oils. They have their place in medicine, but it's not everything. It can't replace all of Western medicine. So there needs to be that balance, and you need to be educated when you're going to use it. If you're putting something on or in your body, you should really know what it is, what it's for, what is it going to interact with, and be able to make those decisions to use it well.
So starting with the basics, talk to us about aromatherapy. What is aromatherapy?
So if you think of clinical aromatherapy, so when I say aromatherapy, that's what I'm thinking of because I am a healthcare person. It's basically the controlled use of essential oils to enhance a patient's health and well-being. And you can translate that into anybody using the oil to enhance their well-being and their health throughout their family, their lives, etc. And then in healthcare, we also use the oils for specific outcomes, because certain oils have different properties which do different things. So if they're a stimulant, I would expect if somebody needs a little bit of energy, you would use a stimulant. Somebody needs to relax, you would use one of the sedatives. So using the oils for those specific outcomes is also part of clinical aromatherapy.
And when we're talking about essential oils, why are they called essential?
So the essential oil is kind of that essence of the plant, and it's usually a flowering plant. And you have to distill it. So not all plants, it's about 1% of flowering plants produce enough oil to make it kind of worthwhile to be an essential oil. So that is kind of the lifeblood of the plant, if you think about it.
So it's the essence of the plant. And so it's the oils, they're extracted from flowering plants, but it could be like the roots or the flowers, the leaves, the seeds, any of these. And so essential means that versus they're essential. We must have them.
Right. Exactly.
Like we think essential fatty acids, we must get them through our diet, but this is a little bit different. It's more about the essence of it. And with aromatherapy, the practice of this is we can inhale them, we can diffuse them, they can be topically used. So what are kind of the different ways that people experience these?
So I think initially most people are more familiar with inhaling them. You walk into a store that has oils diffusing, you can smell it. That's the first kind of mainstream use of aromatherapy. And there are a lot of factors with inhalation, what it does in the limbic system in the brain.
Can you talk to us about that?
I can, if you'd like. So I might have to go to my little notes on the limbic system and the olfactory organs. Basically, when you smell it, you're sending signals up to your brain, and you have you heard of like high brain, low brain?
No.
So your limbic system is your low brain, and that's basic needs. So if you're thinking of fight or flight, so a lion's coming after you, you're going to kick in your low brain, your hypothalamus, your amygdala. That's going to kind of kick in so that you can escape and be safe. That's what the scents tend to trigger. So they're using your low brain in the limbic system. So if you have good scents, you're like, oh, your brain knows, yeah, we're safe. This is a good scent. This brings back either memories or could release different hormones and chemicals in your brain, which would have a different effect. Like it could make you happy, it could make you sad, or you can also, some scents will say, like, you know how you can say you smell danger or you smell something not right? That's going to the limbic system, and the limbic system is saying, whoa, hey, this is dangerous. You don't want to go there. Like plants, if they have a bad smell, your brain tells you that's bad, don't eat that. So that's kind of our evolution of us saying, yeah, this is good. You can either eat this, use this, or this is bad. We can't do that.
So it sounds like almost a primal response.
Exactly.
Let's take a minute to talk about Billy, sponsor of this week's podcast and an Allure Best of Beauty winner. Billy has recreated everyday essentials by delivering premium razors and high-performing body care directly to you. Go to Billy.com to get their starter kit for just $9. That includes their award-winning razor, 2 refilled blades, and a magnetic holder that keeps your razor safe and dry between uses. And Billy just released 3 completely clean must-have products to add to your routine: lip balm, dry shampoo, and face wipes. So it's a perfect time to stock up. I love Billy's products, and you will too. They leave our skin feeling so soft. And to express a little love for our show, go to mybilly.com/fueled. It's a small way to help support us while getting the best razor you'll ever own. It's just $9 to get your starter kit plus free shipping always. Go to mybilly.com/fueled. That's spelled mybillie.com/fueled. So how far, it seems like aromatherapy dates back literally thousands, if not longer, of years.
Yes. It goes back to even the time of like Hippocrates, Galen, thousands of years. People have been using plants. There is a lot of school of thought of the plants are actually nature's medicine. So if you think of it, the earth provides us everything we need. That could be plants, it could be food. So things that we need to heal our body have been around. People have been using them. The kind of the official aromatherapy is thought to have started in 1928. So there was a chemist who was using different oils to help with wounds and infections. His name is Fossey, and I'm probably saying it wrong because I say it wrong every time. But he's considered the father of aromatherapy.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
About almost 100 years. Little trivia for you today.
Yeah, Fossey. That's our Jeopardy answer. So we're talking about, okay, this is what aromatherapy is. What are these essential oils? Like what's in these oils? Talk to us about what these extracts actually are.
So it's basically chemicals. So if you think of just like your cleaning chemicals, it's kind of the same thing, but just nature made. So each of the oils has different properties, and the properties are going to bring different attributes for the oil. So if it's like a terpene, that's going to be antiseptic, antiviral. So if you need something for an infection, you want to look for something that has terpenes in it. And usually those are things that end in ENE. They make it kind of easy for you to think of, ENE, limonene, styrene, that's all terpenes. They're going to be antifungal, antiviral, some type of antiseptic properties. There are also alcohols that has, like, if you think of anything that ends in OL, they're going to be more antibiotic. They're going to also be a diuretic. So each of those different chemical families has different properties.
How many common essential oils are there? I mean, are there like hundreds or but how many are common like in the US that people would see?
I'm trying to look at my list. These are the common ones. And I would say these are not even all common, probably 30. That would be my guess that you'd see.
They're not what we would call mainstream, but in the essential oil world, they're mainstream. Yes. And for knowing what's actually inside of your oils, it's really impossible because it's almost like the supplement market. Essential oils aren't regulated.
Exactly.
So there can be a lot of variation between brands. And I would imagine even those that are from the same brand, they may not always be consistent.
Correct. And it really depends on how they obtain the oil. Like you can do what's called steam distillation, where they basically steam it and kind of the oil comes out with the steam. They can do carbon dioxide distillation, and certain oils, you have to express it that way with the carbon dioxide, but that's going to change the scent. So if you usually should use steam distillation and somebody else does carbon dioxide, it's going to smell different with the same type of oil. And then expression is another, like actually pressure. That's for all of your citrus oils. Like if you're doing bergamot, anything in the orange, it's in the peel of the fruit. So you express the oil that way.
And I read that, and I guess it makes sense, but even within a same brand and same process used that you were just describing, there can still be variation from batch to batch because they're plants. Mm-hmm. And these plants vary country to country, field to field, even if it's the time of year that they're harvested.
Exactly. Think of anything in the soil. If you have different acidity levels in your soil, that's all going to impact the scent of the oil.
So the primary components may be the same, but the concentration, or like you said, the scent may vary some. And we should say that pretty much, it's almost, I would say, safe to say that none or very few of these essential oils have actually been put through any type of like rigorous testing by the FDA and approval, like over-the-counter medications.
Correct.
So it is truly the buyer beware and buyer educate yourself.
Exactly.
If you're going to do these. And let's talk about the science behind essential oils, because this is one where I feel like there's some that are, there's research, but it's not done. There's not a ton on people. There's not a lot of like peer-reviewed, double-blind trials.
I think, and this is my opinion, so I'll just put that disclaimer out there. From what I've seen, when we went through our certification, we had to do a research project. And I have a feeling that's how a lot of research comes out, is people doing these projects, but it's not been historically embraced by the Western medicine society. So you're not going to find a lot of double-blind studies. You're not going to find a lot in like the medical journals. That's starting to change now as it's become much more mainstream, but it's still, there's not a lot.
So some like quote research that might be quoted might be Margaret's study as part of the certification course.
Exactly.
Yeah. And not that you're not brilliant, but are you
I'll pay you later.
Are we gonna, like, was that a study of 20 people and it was, maybe not as rigorous as it could be in certain settings?
And if you think of like that certification we mentioned earlier with one of the companies, what is that study really saying? Who paid for it?
Right.
With any study, you really have to look at those things behind it. And is it really valid? Is it doing what they say? Because numbers and research, if you're not rigorous, you can make it say whatever you want it to say. And if your intent with that is to sell products, you can make that research say whatever you want to try to help you sell that product. So you just really have to educate yourself.
So what is there that we do? What's there that is stuff that we do know, we're pretty sure about?
There are a lot of studies, and these are more in the medical journals, like National Institute of Health has several studies that they reference with lavender. That's a big one that's been studied for anxiety, for sleep. I know at my previous organization, they did some research with a program, we called it Lavender Nights, where we were using lavender in the hospitals to help patients sleep. Because if you've ever stayed overnight in a hospital, worst sleep ever, it's not a good experience. So there's some research there. So things are starting to come out. And by the way, those are all proven. Lavender does help with sleep, does help with anxiety. It's one of the calming
Can you speak
oils.
to what happens to us as it's helping us to release that stress, release that anxiety?
Well, it's really the chemical makeup. So as you inhale it, we were talking about the limbic system earlier. As you're inhaling it, your brain recognizes, oh, we can release some serotonin and try to relax. So that will help with some of those relaxing qualities.
So whether it's like bath salts or there's one hotel we stayed at had lavender essential oil in a little vial that was diluted that you would put on, and it suggested that you put it like on your wrists and behind your ears, know? And so of course we took it home with us. Like, I mean, that was what it was for. We didn't take it from the hotel, but, and so I thought, well, that's kind of neat. So the lavender, I think, is definitely one that we walk into a place that's a spa type of a place. They've got lavender and you immediately notice it and you go, it smells so good in here.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like that woosah moment when you're walking in.
So sleep and anxiety, lavender has some solid science behind it. What are some others?
Ginger is another one that's used a lot with oncology patients, helps with nausea. And it just helps. It's another calming, helps with any of the sores in your mouth. So there's been a lot with ginger. I don't know if they're medical studies.
Is that inhalation or ingesting?
No, ingesting. So they'll use ginger in like candies. If you've seen any of the candies that they'll kind of promote for our cancer patients. And it's kind of the, I'm blanking on the name of the lollipop. There's like a sucker that you can use. And it's for like first trimester moms who might be getting a lot of morning sickness, or cancer patients that are having a lot of nausea, and they work really well. Or if you're seasick even, ginger works awesome.
I'm going to post a link in the episode notes. We actually have a recipe that I did just recently that is for candied ginger because I love it, but of course sugar. And so the candied ginger, but it's actually sweetened with swerve, which is a plant-based sweetener. So I'm going to link to that in our episode notes.
Awesome. So one of my favorite oils is tea tree, also known as Melaleuca alternifolia, kind of a mouthful. You might have heard of Melaleuca. That's another one of the direct sales companies that kind of promotes kind of essential oils. They use tea tree in a lot of their products, hence the name, which makes sense. There are quite a few studies, even going back to the 90s, with tea tree oil and antibacterial properties. So I think that's pretty well founded. But tea tree, we consider it's the big three. That's what we've called it with clinical aromatherapy. It's antifungal, antiviral, and antibacterial. So like in this current climate with the pandemic, tea tree has been my go-to. So that's one of those just general good oils. It's actually considered one of the neat oils. You don't need a carrier oil. You can put it right on your skin. I would caution though, don't overuse it because you can develop an allergy. And that's for somebody who loves it. Like I have a good friend who loves tea tree and she would use it for everything, but then developed an allergy. So now she can't use it. And it's like, oh, it's such a bummer that you can't use that.
Yes.
But it's great. You can even, like I use it on my dog. You have to be careful. I would not probably use it on a cat because cats are a little bit smaller. You got to think about their livers. But in small amounts, I would say use it on a dog. That would be safe if they have a cut, scrape. That's what we use in our house to clean out our cuts. Okay. Soap and water. And
on
then
people
I put some
and
tea
pets.
tree. People and pets, yes.
Okay. Yeah, we were hiking recently and I stepped into this prickly pear and I was happy. Oh, ouch. Yeah. And so after Brad's plucking them out of my leg, the wipes we had were tea tree oil wipes. And nice. I had tea tree oil back at our place. And so I was able to use the wipes right there, wipe it. And perfect. I felt like that helped immediately. And then the tea tree oil after.
And then tea tree is also one of the ones that was studied with Gatafasi. When he was doing his wounds and infections, tea tree is really used for infected wounds. So if you have anything that's infected, I love tea tree for that. Or even, that kind of nail fungus that people get on their big toes. If you just rough it up with a file and put a drop of tea tree on, that helps clean up that bacteria.
And all of those are great. And I actually have a little bit of a blister on my finger from something.
Tea tree?
Yeah, I have tea tree oil, but I hadn't actually thought about it for that because I've used it for other, I don't know, stuff on your feet, like you're saying. But I'm going to add that tonight.
But if you also have, if that's open, a little helichrysum that mixed with some lotion will help heal that too. That's great for scar healing.
And tell us about helichrysum.
So helichrysum, I will mix that. Like I had a hip replacement a couple of years ago, nice big scar for anybody who's seen that. So I was trying to minimize my scar. So I used a little rosehip oil, helichrysum, and then just some almond oil to mix it all up to try to promote healing. So that's one of those that helps with regeneration of tissue, skin healing.
So helichrysum is an essential oil.
It is. Mm-hmm.
It sounds so different than the others.
It does. But there's if you think of essential oils like frankincense, myrrh, those are all essential oils of plants. So we've heard of all those, but you don't necessarily equate that to, it's an essential oil. It comes from a plant.
Right. Yeah. So I think helichrysum is on my list to get. Yes. On the tea tree oil, like you were saying, antibacterial, antifungal. What was the third? Antiviral. But also it can help, like you said, with cuts, with anything like that, with the wounds from taking out your prickly pear cactus. But acne is one that I've read about this for too. So would you just use a few drops on the skin?
Mm-hmm. I would probably mix it with some witch hazel oil, kind of that toner to help get rid of some of the oil. That's my personal little blend. But if you think about it, acne is usually caused by a bacteria. So if you're putting something that's antibacterial on your skin, it's going to help clear that up.
But the tea tree oil might be too oily for someone who has acne. So mixing it with the witch hazel. Mm-hmm. Okay. Which is a little bit more astringent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
And let's talk a little bit. Well, what about, we talked sleep. Lavender is a big one with sleep and anxiety. What about any that have been studied to help minimize our perception of pain?
There's quite a few. And I don't know if they're looking at minimizing perception or if it's actually helping like an antispasmodic, which is going to help relax the muscle, cause less pain. Like I think more muscle because I am an athletic trainer. So that's what I go with first. And I usually look at like arnica. That's one of those creams that they've mixed the oil in with the cream and you could put it on your muscles. So that will help with some of those.
I have that as an essential oil also that I'll put into a bath that has like it's a magnesium and arnica, basically, that helps with muscles. So we talked about sleep, anxiety. Lavender is been shown to be effective for that. Wound healing and things like that, tea tree oil. Let's talk about pain, because there is a good bit of research for whether it is truly minimizing things that are causing us pain or minimizing our perception of pain. What's some of the research done here?
So there's a lot of research on various uses. Like one was looking at lavender. There were a few studies in this kind of meta-analysis review. Somebody way smarter than me pulled all this research together and said, here's what's all been done. I love those kind of people.
Me too.
I'm so not a research person. But like lavender is a big heavy hitter for pain. There was also one of the studies showed peppermint, which I thought was kind of interesting because I don't know that I would think of that with pain.
Right. Me too.
And then there was one with post-op pain that was also looking at nausea, because if you've had surgery before and you've been anesthetized, nausea is a big issue with that. So can we use ginger or something else? And this study was saying, yep, ginger works for that, to try to get rid of some of that post-op nausea. But I think lavender is the big one. That's one of my favorites.
One thing that I thought was an interesting note, actually going back to the Unwell docuseries we were talking about, there was a woman who was an aromatherapist in the hospital setting, and the patient that they had kind of as the person they featured, he kind of seemed like he had the grumpies and he wasn't feeling so good. And she came in and she did the essential oils with him. And I believe it was just inhaling the lavender. But she was also so gentle and so kind. And so she just had this Zen quality about her. And he even said after, like his pain felt a lot better. And he said, but I don't know if it was the lavender or the attention, because
or
it
the
was
combo.
Yeah. Because it was, and so I think, some of what I was reading about using lavender or other essential oils in a clinical setting for pain management, it also, that just the act of doing that and dispersing them in the way that they're being dispensed, it's the compassion element that's coming along with it.
And Plain Tree that I mentioned earlier when we were talking, that's kind of the focus of that organization, is to really have caregivers. Yes, patients come in and expect clinical excellence. That's just, they're coming to you for care. They expect you know what you're doing. But that compassion, the environment, we've all seen the movies where it's like the patient's kind of sitting in the hallway and it's bright lights and it's not a very healing environment. And Plain Tree really helps organizations focus on that, to say, if that was your grandma, is that how you would want that? You'd want somebody who's compassionate, who's going to not come in and scream at her and just say, hey, we're here to take care of you. Here's some lavender that's going to help you calm down. We know this is a scary place. That really focuses. So if anybody's out there, I would encourage them to check out Plain Tree.
So it's really the double benefit of how it's affecting our brain, how it's affecting that limbic system, and the vehicle with which we're receiving it, the person or whatever it might be.
And if you think of that healing environment, creating that will help patients heal better so that they can get home, because their home environment is really the most healing. And there have been some studies done on that. Like, patients don't really heal in the hospital. Where their family is, where they're comfortable, that's where they're going to get healed quicker. So the more we can make our hospitals and our care environments similar to that, I think that's really going to be a better service for our patients.
And when we think about how so if you're in a hospital and you're receiving essential oil treatment, that's one thing. And there's sort of the compassion that comes along with it. But if we're at home and let's say you're doing lavender in your bath or by your bedside or in your diffuser, that's also a little bit, that's that ritual that is also helping you to unwind. So there's the ritual, the routine that alone can help to minimize our anxiety, and then combine that with the effects that we're actually feeling of the lavender.
Absolutely.
So what are some of your other just favorite oils and benefits of them?
If anybody ends up with headaches, peppermint is great for headaches. So you can mix it with a little bit of lotion, put it on your temples. It's great for migraines. I know I had a friend in Wisconsin who, I'm not from here in case anybody is listening and saying she doesn't sound like she's from Louisiana. I had a friend who had migraines. And when I was going through this, I'm like, hey, I'm going to put this together for you with just a little peppermint in some lotion. And she would put it on her temples, maybe on the base of her neck. And she felt better. It's something topical that will help at least confuse your brain to say, don't feel that headache. The peppermint's going to be a stimulant. It's going to help decrease that headache.
And peppermints also can help with IBS, irritable bowel syndrome.
Yes. Peppermint and black pepper is another good one. If you have GI issues or maybe you're not going, you might need some motion down there. Black pepper is a great one for that. If you mix it with a carrier oil, you can't put that directly on your skin without having something to mix it with. Kind of rub it on your belly and that'll help get things going.
Black pepper oil.
Black pepper oil. Okay. Yes. Don't just use
right.
what's in your kitchen cabinet.
Suddenly people are like, it's all over me.
I sprinkled it on my stomach. It's not working.
It's in my belly button. Right?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Don't do it.
I can see it now.
She means black pepper oil. And what are some other essential oils that are kind of your favorites that are your go-tos?
I tend to go with the scents that I like, and I prefer a lot of citrus. I'm not a big rose. Rose oil is nice and it has some good properties, but I like citrus. So I like bergamot, any of the lemongrass, and I'll mix those with lavender. And then usually in this day and age, I will always put a drop of tea tree in everything just so that if I'm diffusing it, that helps clean my air because I'm a bit of a germ phobe. So I'll be using the tea tree forever.
Does the citrus have the effect of mood boosting for some?
It does. Yeah. Citrus is great for mood boosting. If you think of those lighter notes, they tend to release those endorphins and you get a little happy when you're smelling those. So
it feels more like an energize type of a scent.
Mm-hmm.
And what about rosemary oil?
Rosemary is great for regeneration of skin. So you can use that if you have a burn, but again, that's not a neat oil. So you need to mix it with something, maybe some almond oil, or you can even use olive oil, coconut oil. You need to mix it with something. You can't just put it directly on your skin. That's also a relaxing oil. So if you needed to kind of have a long day, you can diffuse some rosemary with something or even by itself. I like to mix. I'm a blend person. I don't like just one scent. So I'll mix it with other things.
And they will still have that impact, even blended.
Yes.
Any others?
But you don't want to mix that with a stimulant. Okay. You wouldn't want to mix rosemary and peppermint because they would be opposites. It's kind of like having alcohol with Red Bull. Right. A depressant and a stimulant, that those two things don't match.
And so lavender with citrus, you wouldn't want to do?
Depending. Lavender is kind of versatile. It is a relaxant, but I feel like you can mix that with anything. Okay. It's kind of like tea tree. Okay. Lavender and tea tree are probably my top two favorites. I feel like I'm playing they're my favorite children out of all the essential oil family.
Any others that are your kind of in that rotation?
Eucalyptus is one. I have allergies, so I will diffuse eucalyptus. It's actually a blend from Melaleuca. And I don't sell Melaleuca. Just caveat, disclaimer. I just like the product. So I have a friend that sells it. So I buy from her. It's called Breathe or Vapor. That's what it's called, Vapor. And it has eucalyptus and I think a little bit of peppermint. And there's 2 other oils in there. And I just like how it opens things up for me. So I will use a eucalyptus blend when it's this time of year. I don't know if you all can hear my voice. It's definitely an allergy voice. So if I need to breathe, eucalyptus.
And so lavender, tea tree are key ones. And then from there, if you looked at, okay, I want something that's a little bit more energizing, the citrus oils or the peppermint oil. And it's helichrysum is the one that's healing, like a wound healer.
Yep. I'll use that on skin, any kind of scar.
And arnica for muscle pain. Does it help with inflammation, arnica?
Yes.
Okay.
That hasn't been proven. I haven't found any studies for that. Unless you're not medical studies, I should say.
Okay. But arnica for pain, for muscle relief. And let's talk about, you've talked about some that you referred to as neat or not neat. Let's talk about all the different ways to use the essential oils and the different types. Because, well, first, I guess, I know that we talked about you can inhale, you can diffuse. There's a lot of controversy, we'll say, about whether or not they should be ingested. So let's talk about all the different ways that we can potentially have like that exposure to essential oils.
Sure. So I know we talked about inhalation and a little bit about diffusion earlier, but inhalation, either you can have like a cotton ball that you're just putting right up to your nose and sniffing, and then that's sending that signal back to your limbic system. Or you can diffuse it in the air. That's when you mix it with some type of water and have a machine that will kind of spread that through your air. You're not going to get as strong of a scent if you put it right up to your nose, but it's still going to give you the same effect for diffusion and inhalation.
I've also seen that there's things like aromatherapy accessories that people can have, like necklaces or bracelets or even keychains that they can
in your car,
have their scents on them at all times.
Some of those companies that we talked about earlier, that's big for them to sell. Like, oh, you can have this little tchotchke and put it on, and
right.
and here's your oil. And I don't mind that. I think that's fine. Like, you can find that in a lot of places. And for me, I wouldn't mind wearing that because I think it's, as long as it's not like something funky smelling. Like, I don't know if I would want to put black pepper oil in my diffuser on my neck and smell that all day.
It's sort of like a security blanket. If you've got your oil that you feel like really brings you a calm in your feet, or you're going into a stressful meeting, then you'd be like, she's got the necklace on, like it's a stressful day.
Exactly.
she's got some like high pressure meetings. So the diffusing, or like you said, smelling it from a cotton ball, or any of the little other ways that we could just have it to where we're smelling it. And then what are some of the others?
There's topical. So that's basically putting it on your skin. Skin is your biggest organ. So that's how you're going to absorb some of the qualities of the oil. So as I mentioned earlier, there's some of those neat oils. And basically neat means you can just put them on by themselves. You don't need anything else to mix with it. So they're not really going to be toxic to your skin.
What are some of those?
So there's 4. There is lavender and tea tree, my 2 faves.
So you can put those straight. You don't need to dilute them.
You can put those straight. You don't have to dilute them. You don't have to put them with another oil. Petitgrain is one that's in the citrus family, and then Roman chamomile. And that one I actually can't use. I'm allergic to it, so I steer clear of the chamomile family.
What is that one typically used for?
That one, muscle or joint pain, skin disorders, insomnia. It's good for sleeping. Sort
of like chamomile tea.
Yeah, like chamomile tea. So you can actually use that right on your skin.
And what was the third one you said?
Petitgrain.
And what is that? It
looks like petite grain if you're looking looking it up.
Okay.
Petitgrain is...
There's the 4 neat is the petitgrain, the...
Roman chamomile, tea tree, and lavender.
So those we can put straight onto our skin. It causes no harm. We're not going to burn our skin or have a reaction for the most part.
And if you're using it on kiddos, you want to always patch test with any of these. So you don't want to just like, I'm just going to kind of slather it all over my arm because I got a burn. You want to test first and make sure you don't have an allergy. Like, that's how I found out about Roman chamomile. We were doing a patch test and I'm like, nope, I'm not good with that. That was an instant reaction. So always patch test first before you're putting anything on your skin.
And how long should you wait to see a reaction? Right away, 24 hours?
Ideally, it would be 24 hours. Most of the oils I've seen a reaction, I would say within an hour.
Okay.
But it really depends. So best practice would probably be wait a day.
So kids, pets, even ourselves, do a little test area and then go with it.
Absolutely.
And those that are not neat, how do we use these?
So if you're putting them on your skin, you can mix them, and you would want some type of carrier oil or lotion, anything that's going to emulsify. So you want, like, sweet almond oil is a great carrier oil. Most things can mix with that. It has a good scent, so that'll help you. That's not considered an essential oil because that's from a nut, but it mixes well with a lot of our scents. Or you can also use olive oil. You can use avocado oil or any of the lotions. Like, I'll mix things in lotions if that's easier. If you have a cream that you like, I would try to steer clear of anything with too many chemicals in it, just because you never know how that's going to react.
Oils and that I've liked, and I'll take shea butter, which is solid at room temp, And I've actually heated it to where it melts to a liquid form. And then I'll put the essential oils in it to the concentration that I think I get the smell and appreciation for. And then I'll stir it up, mix it well, and then put it in the back into the container and let it just re-solidify. And that to me has worked really well.
Yep.
Because, and I've even done that with some, there's a topical that I was using, but it was very liquidy and it required putting it on a cotton ball and dabbing it. And I was like, this is just a pain. So for me, that was easier. Like then I get the shea butter, I get the moisturizing, and I get the benefit of the essential oils in there.
You can also use like Castile soap if you're making soap. Like I do a lot with, I'll do rosemary and mint. And then of course I have to add a drop of tea tree because, you know, it's my favorite. But you can make that. You have the liquid soap that you can buy at Whole Foods or Trader Joe's or anywhere that has those type of more natural products. You can mix the essential oils in there and just kind of shake it up and have your own soap.
So when we're talking about how much, and you're saying like adding a drop of tea tree, how do we know how much of these to use, whether we're ingesting it or topical or inhaling?
It just kind of depends on what you're trying to do. You can find a lot of different recipes for various things. Like I have, for those of you who are listening, I have probably 3 binders worth of it's like my Bibles of aromatherapy. And it's a lot of kind of trial and error of what do you like? Did it give you the outcome that you wanted? Did it give you the scent that you wanted? Maybe you were looking for a relaxing scent. And it's kind of that chemistry and art mixed together of, did I like this? Did I not like this? But you can find some good recipes online. And even like doTERRA and Young Living have recipes for blends. Of course, they want you to buy their blend, so you're not making it yourself. But there are also recipes for blends that you can do.
But they're pretty concentrated. For many, it's a drop or 2 drops. We were doing a project with a smoothie company, and we thought, well, let's do one that has some lavender in it. And it was like, I think at first we might have put 3 drops. It was way overpowering. We went 1, and it was just even, because I thought it's so microscopic almost, but it was so powerful.
And it kind of goes back to that essence statement. It's the essence of the plant. So that's going to it's the most concentrated. And then when you distill it even further, it's more concentrated. So you don't need a lot. Like it's that, I think in America, we like to do that if less is good, more is better. Completely. And more is not better for this.
Completely.
Yeah. You just,
what about ingesting these? Because I also then, as I'm reading about essential oils, there's some who are just like shouting from the rooftops, you absolutely cannot, ingest these into your body. Like you're going to cause all these dangers. Others are like, yeah, you can ingest these. And I didn't understand it because we use lavender. There's, recipes for all types of things that might use a little bit of lavender oil that we are ingesting it. But then I thought, should we put this in the smoothie? Right. So talk to us about ingesting oils.
It's funny that you say that because when I was going through my certification program, it was kind of intense. It was like 4 separate courses, and then you had to do an exam and a project. And it was very adamant. The school that we went with, they were absolutely no ingestion. We can't promote that. And I think you have to kind of take that and temper it with, like you said, we use rosemary in cooking. We use lavender in cooking. So why couldn't we use that? So I'm kind of middle of the road. There are certain things I'll ingest if it's something that's typically found in cooking. But if it's like tea tree, I'm not going to drink that, but I will gargle with it if I'm doing mouthwash or if I've been traveling and I don't know who I've been around. I will absolutely put some tea tree in my mouthwash and gargle just to cleanse any kind of germs out of my throat. So it's really a personal preference. It goes back to, you have to know what you're putting in your body and make sure that it's not going to interact with anything else that you're taking.
And I think to that point too, how strong it is, it's very different to have pure oil that you're ingesting that might be harsh on your esophagus, harsh on your digestion. Whereas that 1 drop in that big smoothie or that big batch of something you're making, it's much more diluted and diffused throughout it.
Exactly. And when you're ingesting it, it's not like you're going to take a dropper and just kind of take a shot of essential oils. You're typically mixing it with something. You need to mix it with some type of fat or emulsifier Otherwise, you're going to have some issues with your esophagus and your stomach.
Right.
You're going to have some problems. So you don't ever want to take that just straight. And I know there are some companies that are like, yeah, just take this or put it. It's okay to put it in tea. It's okay to put it in your drinks or in your smoothies. Or if you want to mix it in with like your coconut oil as you're cooking, that's great. I'm all for that. But just know that it's a good quality oil. Don't buy just the cheapy stuff because like I said earlier, if it's cheap, it's not good. Chances are. And then know what you're trying to use it for.
That's right. Let's talk about that too a little bit on how to know what you're looking for. Like, how do you know that you're getting that quality oil?
So the first thing I'll look at is where is it from? So if it's Melaleuca, if it's a tea tree oil, it needs to come from Australia. Those trees don't grow anywhere else. So if you got a tea tree oil that was grown and processed in Canada, yeah, that's not good oil. Somebody made something and it's probably some chemical clone of something. Same thing with lavender. If you're looking at lavender, ideally it would come from France, but now you can get lavender pretty much everywhere, but it just might be a clone. There's probably, I think there were 3 different kind of variations of lavender that we studied when I was going through my class. So you really want to think about getting the true lavender. So if you look at the chemical name for it,
like the Latin name that's on there.
Yes, it's like the plant name. So like I said, with tea tree, it's Melaleuca alternifolia. If it's lavender, it's Lavandula angustifolia. I always feel like I'm speaking a different language.
Right,
when I
you
say
are.
That. So, but then there's also like lavandin. There's lavandula, and there's I forget the second word, but there's like so many variations. So look for the true oil name. Then
in the country of origin.
Yes, country of origin. And then I would look at the manner in which they obtain the oil. So if it says like it's a lavender oil and it was expressed, you can't express lavender oil. You have to steam distill it. You can only express the citrus oils because the oil's in the rind. So if they said it's expressed, that's kind of shady. I would not even go there.
And then looking at the company and going with ideally a company that's been around for years. And you mentioned Melaleuca has some. And we got a blend from Elizabeth's Essentials. And she's
love that blend.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not promoting any products, but I love her blend.
And that one is called Imuware. So Elizabeth, I believe her last name is Bloom, and she is she's brilliant in the creation of the different blends. But I'll actually link to her website too. Okay. But this is one that at Practitioner we got the Imuware for a variety of reasons that we were using it, especially during COVID quarantine time. So looking at the label, does it have that true name of the plant, the Latin name, scientific name of the plant? Does it have information on how it was extracted or how the oils were pressed or not pressed from it, and the country of origin, the container? I see some in glass, some in plastic.
Ideally, it would be in glass because that's better for the oils, and usually a darker glass. So if it's in a clear glass, that's going to help break down the oil faster, and you might not get as quality outcomes.
And over time in plastic, it kind of disintegrate that plastic. So glass versus plastic and a darker glass. So a lot of times you see kind of amber colored bottles or blue color bottles. And then any other things that you would say do's and don'ts to look at, okay, do we have a quality oil? The
other thing I'd look at with companies, if I'm researching them, is what kind of claims are they making their oil does? Like if they're saying this oil is going to cure cancer, I'm probably not going to buy that oil because
just for that reason
can't happen.
Yeah.
That tells me I'm not sure if you're on the up and up. So I don't know that I personally would buy from that company.
I think that that's a really good point. And even if it's a person who's not into the research and gonna start going through all the different PubMed citations, we can still use our common sense and know, okay, everything that we've talked about, basically we haven't said anything that essential oils are going to do that's going to really change your world.
Right.
They're not helping to cure your child with autism. They're not going to cure your cancer, but they can give us that little extra edge of helping us feel better as we're going through whatever it is. They can help that anxiety. They can help our
Exactly.
sleep. They can help our stress.
Enhance your well-being.
Right.
That's what they're intended to do.
It's almost like thinking of them as, that's what we talk about, dietary supplements. They're supplements to your otherwise healthy lifestyle.
Exactly.
And essential oils are sort of like a different version of that supplement to everything else that we're doing. And any cautions on safety that you would say, or anything, we talked already a little bit about, we need to dilute most of them. We don't want to ingest them straight. If we do, it would be in a very dilute manner, and kind of, again, trying to use that thought process of, okay, if it's lavender, if it's rosemary or chamomile, something that we're normally consuming anyway, but that one drop in a larger volume of something.
Yes. Because these are nature's chemicals, they're going to have some different reactions in your body. So there are some that you have to really watch out for. Like some will create liver toxicity, and there's a whole list. You can find these online. But then there are some oils that are also phototoxic, which means if you're going out in the sun, like verbena, that's in a lot of products like lemon verbena. We love our lemon verbena tea or diffusing, but that can make you more sensitive to the sun, so you could burn more easily. So you have to be a little bit careful and look at the product, look at any of the precautions. You should be able to find that online, and then make sure that it's safe for what you're using it for. There are some essential oils that shouldn't be used with like estrogen dependent cancers, because that could cause a problem. Like some of the ones that are used for women's health, like clary sage, you have to be careful with that. So for any patients that are going through any type of estrogen dependent cancer, if you have breast cancer, you want to watch out for clary sage and fennel. Those are two that they're for female hormone imbalance, so they can help, but they can also exacerbate other issues. So you wouldn't want to use those if you have estrogen dependent cancer.
So I think we should also say, kind of under the umbrella of this, talk with a healthcare professional who is either well-versed in essential oils or interested enough to help you explore it.
Absolutely.
And sharing with, there's, who else would be somebody that would be kind of in their sphere? Would it be OBs or certain?
There are some OBs that are into more Eastern medicine, more that holistic medicine. I think you really want to look for a holistic practitioner. I hate to do the air quotes, but ask around when you're looking for a provider. But then if you have like a naturopath, there are some natural healing physicians, or functional medicine. That's another kind of up and coming field in medicine. They might be able to help.
And if you have something that is, if you're going through cancer, if you have specific clinical conditions, it isn't something that you want to just assume that everything is going to be fine. You would want to make sure that for your condition, there's not going to be any adverse effects here.
Exactly. Yes.
So for the most part, these are going to be harmless. And when used as recommended, when used in moderation and not more is better, that you've got your vial around your neck, you're inhaling it, you're slathering it on your body, it's in your soaps, everything else. So we've got to kind of be mindful of that, of, in the United States, like you said, if a little is good, more is better. But for the most part, looking at these as giving us that little extra edge where we can benefit from it. And if part of the benefit is the ritual that we have, or what kind of helps us, I think when we do things like focusing on inhaling these essential oils, we're also then focusing on our breath. We're focusing on, we're centering our thoughts a bit more. So all of these things can kind of help bring us back to a little bit more of a balanced center. And there's also some benefit that these are actually having in our brains and our bodies.
Yes.
So anything that we haven't covered, or any kind of just overarching for our listeners?
I think really for me, oils, I like using oils. I love diffusing them. The scent, it's very relaxing. So I think you have to really figure out what works for you, for your family, and then make sure that you're using it safely.
And we can put links in our episode notes. We will have some of the product lines that we have used or vetted out and can recommend. So we'll have links to specific product lines. I'm going to link to that candied ginger recipe that I was talking about that's no sugar.
I can't wait to try it.
And a couple of the key links that Margaret has that would just be helpful for us there's a lot of information and there's no way to just remember it all. So here's some nice reference points that can give you ideas. I think you even said recipes you may have in there. So we'll have all that for you in the episode notes of this podcast. And Margaret, I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. This was very fun.
Yeah, it's a blast. All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So there's a lot for us to soak in here. There's so many different essential oils. There's so many different uses of them, so many different indications. All of them can be used in slightly different ways. Lots of information. And so I'll include certain key links from Margaret for more information and just kind of have as a resource for you there. For me personally, some of my big takeaways, the lavender that we love, and it's kind of that innate scent that we reach for that relaxation, that it really does truly have a psychological benefit and a physical benefit and reaction in our bodies. And tea tree oil, that's one that I've always kept around for its, antibacterial and kind of anytime I have a cut, a scrape, anything like that. So good to know about that. And then helichrysum, I will be ordering that for healing and wound healing and cuts. So lots of takeaways that we can start incorporating, maybe in addition to some of the traditional medications we do. So if we can just kind of edge our way to go a more natural route when possible, even better. So lots that we covered today. If you try some of these and you want to share with me, I would love to hear about it. If you have certain essential oils, especially if it's some that we didn't talk about and you're like, this one to me is a game changer, let me know about that too. Always. I love hearing from you guys and your experiences. I am registered dietitian Molly Kimball, and you've been listening to Fueled Wellness and Nutrition, the podcast. If you would like more Fueled Wellness and Nutrition, please head over to mollykimball.com. And you can follow me, Molly Kimball RD, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And if you haven't yet, please go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Join us next week for another dose of Fueled Wellness and Nutrition. Thanks for listening, and stay focused on living your strongest, healthiest life.